My mathematics program and the way in which I go about teaching today is vastly different from the way I taught 2 years ago. Back at the start of 2001, I attended the David Langford 4-day conference in Melbourne. I came back and started very, very excited about thinking about a different approach, and immediately set up a car park in my classroom so that I could get feedback from the children.
If we've just started something new, we can put a note saying that the maths program, something's going well. If something needs improvement, we can just put a letter saying that something else needs improvement and what about it needs improvement. This is for what are ideas for improvement, and this is for questions on anything else.
That there were a large number of children that were highly dissatisfied with mathematics, with the way I was teaching it. It wasn't assisting them with their learning. They were very unmotivated, very bored by mathematics.
So then there were a lot of complaints, and then kids started putting up notes on the car park.
More and more of these post-it notes started to appear. The feedback was very, very confronting about the way I was going about teaching.
Yeah, last year, my teacher used to teach from the board, and we never got that much maths done. The teacher used to write on the board, like, do this, we had to do it, like a times table, we've got to do that. And we already knew that, so there's no point of doing something you already know.
Last year, I was unmotivated in my maths because I wasn't allowed to go ahead and learn what I wanted to learn. The teacher would stand up in front of the class and teach stuff that I would already know.
Previously, children who were reluctant learners had two things. They spent all their time learning strategies to hide their inability and their reluctance to learn.
I was really bad at maths last year. I used to cheat, copy from the correction book. Whenever I didn't know a question, I didn't go and ask the teacher or a friend. I just copied, or I copied from the book. I say I finished, but I'll go down where I'll get the correction book on my table. I'll just write the answer in and then correct it as ticks. I didn't really like maths. I hated maths. Most of the tests I've done, all of them I've done, was under 50, like around 25%.
So we decided as a group that what we'd do is use some of the tools that we'd learned to examine this problem, and we began a PDSA. One of the first things we did was to do a structured silent brainstorm, and I got all the children to jot down all of the things that were wrong with our mathematics program and the way I was going about teaching mathematics.
First, everyone got to brainstorm ideas, and then we put them into a affinity diagram, and we put them into groups. The headings were learning, there were problems with learning, the time that we had, the skill level, and the teacher, the correction of work, the interruptions, and the extension activities. Then we put it into the interrelationship diagram.
When we did our first interrelationship diagram, I discovered that the root cause of the problem was me as the teacher and the method that I was using to teach mathematics. I immediately did what all teachers do, assumed that there'd been a mistake made on the part of the children. So I said to them, no, look, you don't realise how to use the tool properly. I'm still learning this. So let's go back and do it again. The feedback from the children were, no, we've made no mistake with the tool. We know how to use the tool properly.
The teacher had 5 going out. So to everything, every problem, every other problem, the teacher had an input into it. And it was making it harder for us to actually learn. It was making our time, make us have less time. The interruptions were mainly from him. And because we couldn't learn with him, because he kept on interrupting, we couldn't learn properly, so our skill level was going lower. And the correction of work, because he used to make everyone line up out the front and correct the same page.
So we immediately decided that we'd have to stop and look at that. We flowcharted our current process to see what it was.
Well, before we started the new maths program, Mr. Phypers would make everyone sit down in their seats and start the last maths session, and he'd make everyone learn the same thing. Like for one day we might be learning angles. He'd go through it all, and then if one person didn't understand, everyone would have to stay sitting down and learn it all over again.
What I was really doing was utilising the whole grade in order to teach only 1 or 2 children that didn't understand the particular concept that we were teaching for that day. So I was wasting the majority of time for the rest of the children in the class who could be moving forward with their learning and using my teaching assistance at a point where they required assistance with their learning.
After the interrelationship diagram, and we found out the teacher was the problem, we made a flow chart so we would know how our new maths program would work. Start off with open your Maths Plus book to the page you are up to and read the instructions or example. Then we go down to, do I understand the maths and know what to do? If the answer is yes, then we start work on the page and we answer the questions in order. If the answer is no, we see if Mr. Phypers is busy. If Mr. Phypers is busy, we go to the maths resource book and we ask ourselves, do I know what to do? If the answer is yes, we just start our work on the page and we answer the questions in order. If the answer is no, we ask Mr. Phypers for help when he's not busy. Then we see, have I finished all of the questions on the page? If you have, we get the correction book and we correct our work. If the answer is no, we see if Mr. Phypers is busy. If the answer is yes, then we get the maths resource book or we ask another student for help. If the answer is no, we ask Mr. Phypers for help. Then we say to ourselves, is all of our work correct? If the answer is yes, we fill out our capacity matrix and we start the next page. But if the answer is no, we get out the grid book, our grid book, and we repeat the questions we got wrong.
The whole class has got a capacity matrix and it's a self-assessment to see how we're doing. Information means that I know a little bit but I still need lots of help. Knowledge, I know a bit but I still need lots of help. Know-how, I could do it but just a teensy little help. And with wisdom over there, I could teach someone else without trouble. The capacity matrix tells me what I need help or if I need to improve. Like with problem solving, I've only coloured one. That means information, like I need lots of help on it. Angles, I could do it with no trouble. With shapes and objects, I need just a little bit help.
The capacity matrix, you can count something you don't know. And if you don't know, we can go back to it.
The first 6 or 8 months it worked very, very well. Got lots of very good results out of it and high motivation in the children. There were still problems with this. So we stopped and we did a plus delta.
This is showing us what are the good things that we think about the maths program are and what the bad things are. And then we made some minor adjustments after doing that.
That's when we changed the process and we introduced peer mentoring. There were numerous children in this classroom that had a massive amount of skill and who could equally teach the same concepts to their peers.
We've got different skills, like I'm not good in problem solving, but maybe someone else is good in problem solving. I'm confident to go up to Mr. Phypers or someone else and ask for help. But last year I couldn't do that. I thought people might tease me about it. Most of the times I help other people.
One of the things that I found difficult initially was not standing up in front of the classroom, being the director of learning. I found it difficult not to have that full control over them. I think if you walk into my classroom today, what it would appear to an observer is that it looks a bit chaotic because it looks like there's not very much classroom management going on, but in fact it's organised chaos. And the children are really fully engaged in their learning, they're highly motivated with what they're doing, and I think the crucial thing is they're really enjoying their learning.
It's different now and we're learning more because now we can just ask each other for help instead of having to wait around for Mr. Phypers, and we're learning more because when we're teaching someone else we might pick up something that we may have forgotten and teach ourselves while we're teaching someone else.
This year we're learning much more. We can work at our own pace, and if we need help we can go from the kids that have experts at like problem solving and all that.
I'm now in charge of my learning. It's not my teacher anymore. I'm the one that drives my learning.
I wouldn't want it to be interpreted from this that the only tasks that took place in this mathematics program were exercises from an activity book. The program was as widely varied as having high-level open-ended problem-solving tasks, lots of hands-on materials measurement tasks, and lots of learning-centred tasks. And it wasn't just a textbook program that the children were doing. I think if there's 3 key messages that I've learnt from this is one, that now learning and the children's need to learn and teaching are perfectly matched. Whereas previously there was a large mismatch because you might not require any teaching because you're a sufficient learner, or you might require learning but my teaching's already progressed past that. So that's a key thing, and because children mentor each other they can get in-time learning all the time, so they marry up perfectly. The second point that I'd like to make is the fact that now, as a mentor and coach, I have children who now learn a lot more and a lot quicker than they previously did when I was the director of learning. The third thing that I'd like to get across is the fact that now the children have become lifelong independent learners, and now through this system they're in charge of their learning. For example, I have a number of children who have moved beyond Year 6 concepts and are now learning Year 7 concepts. I have Year 5 children who have now moved forward and are learning Year 6 concepts.
Learning way more than last time. So if I already know something, I can go to something I haven't known.
And this year I've improved so much since we had the flow chart over there. Like the test I do now, I get around like 95, 99, just around in the 90s, above 90s.
I find it a lot easier to work than my teacher standing up the front and talking. I've gone up a year from Year 6 to Year 7 in my maths, mostly because I've wanted to learn all the work because I find it more fun.
In previous years, I would have usually only one child who would go to CSF level 5 beginning and be above what their year level would be. I'd have probably 50% of the class that would make level 4 established, and then the rest of the class was in a huge spread from level 4 all the way down through to level 3. This year alone, 7 children who are ranked at least level 5 beginning and some level 5 entering consolidating. The majority of children are at level 4 established, and there's no one in this class now who's below level 4 consolidating.
My teacher, he's been like teaching me stuff that I don't know. Like there's some stuff in the Year 7 program that I wouldn't have the faintest idea about, but now it all seems too easy.